You know, I've spent 58 years on this planet, and I've noticed something peculiar about human beings. We're the only creatures who wake up in the morning and ask ourselves, what's the point? A bird doesn't question whether building a nest has meaning. A tree doesn't wonder if growing toward the sun serves some cosmic purpose. But we do. We lie awake at 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, asking, why am I here? What's it all for? And here's the uncomfortable truth, that most philosophers, priests, and self-help gurus don't want to tell you. There might not be a point. Not in the way you're hoping for anyway. Now, before you close this video and go searching for something more comforting, stay with me. Because what I'm about to share with you isn't a descent into nihilistic despair. It's actually the most liberating realization you might ever have. The French philosopher Albert Camus wrote about what he called the absurd. This fundamental disconnect between our human need for meaning and the universe's apparent indifference to that need. We're meaning-seeking creatures in a cosmos that doesn't provide instruction manuals. Most people find this terrifying. I find it exhilarating. Let me tell you why. 3 years ago, I was in Kyoto, watching a group of Zen monks create a sand mandala. They spent days on this intricate, beautiful geometric pattern, thousands of colored sand grains placed with meticulous precision. And when they finished, you know what they did? They swept it away, destroyed it, returned it to formlessness. A tourist next to me was horrified. All that work, she said, for nothing. But that's exactly the point. It wasn't for nothing. It was for everything. The meaning wasn't in the finished product, it was in the making. Alan Watts, the British philosopher who spent years translating Eastern thought for Western minds, once said something that changed how I see existence. He said, "Music is not about getting to the end of the song. If that were the purpose of music, the best music would be the shortest." Think about that for a moment. When you listen to a symphony, are you sitting there impatiently, waiting for it to be over so you can check it off your list? Good, finished Beethoven's Ninth. What's next? Of course not. The point of the music is the music itself, each note, each movement, each silence between the sounds. Life, Watts suggested, is the same way. We've been conditioned to think of life as a journey from point A to point B, birth to death, with a series of milestones in between. Graduate, get a job, get married, have children, retire, die. As if life is a problem to be solved, a task to be completed. But what if life isn't a journey at all? What if it's a dance? What if it's music? When you dance, you're not trying to get to a particular spot on the floor. When you play music, you're not racing to reach the final note. The point is the playing itself, the movement, the expression, the experience. And here's where it gets interesting, where Camus and Watts actually shake hands across their different traditions. Camus said we must imagine Sisyphus happy. You know the myth. The man condemned to roll a boulder up a hill for eternity, only to watch it roll back down, again and again, forever. Most people read that as the ultimate punishment. But Camus saw something else. He saw freedom. Because once Sisyphus accepts the absurdity of his task, once he stops expecting it to lead somewhere or mean something external to itself, he's free to find meaning in the rolling itself. The strain of muscles, the texture of stone, the rhythm of the climb. He's free to play. Watch children build a sandcastle, really watch them. They're completely absorbed, focused, serious even. They're engineering, problem-solving, creating. They're pouring their whole being into this construction, and they absolutely know, that the tide will come in and wash it all away, or that they'll leave the beach and never see it again. Do they care? Not in the way adults would. They're not building it to last. They're not building it for some future benefit. They're not building it to impress anyone, or to add to their portfolio, or to secure their legacy. They're building it because building is what's happening right now. And right now is all there ever is. Somewhere between childhood and adulthood, we forget this. We start believing that everything we do must serve some greater purpose, must lead somewhere, must mean something in capital letters. We turn life into a series of investments, each action a down payment on some future payoff. We go to school not to learn, but to get a degree. We get a degree not for knowledge, but for a job. We work not for the work itself, but for the weekend, for retirement, for some distant moment when real life will finally begin. And then we die, having spent our entire existence preparing for a life we never actually lived. The existentialists called this bad faith, living inauthentically, according to scripts written by others, by society, by fear. Camus called it philosophical suicide, escaping the absurd by pretending there's some external meaning we just haven't found yet. But here's the beautiful, terrifying, liberating truth. There is no script. There is no predetermined meaning. There is no cosmic purpose you're supposed to discover. And that means you're free. Completely, utterly, magnificently free. Free to build your sandcastle knowing the tide will come. Free to make your music knowing it will fade into silence. Free to dance your dance knowing there's nowhere to get to. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Adrian, this sounds like nihilism. If nothing means anything, why not just give up? Why not just lie in bed all day? Why not descend into despair or hedonism or apathy? And this is the crucial distinction, the razor's edge we're walking here. Nihilism says, nothing matters, therefore everything is permitted, therefore nothing is worth doing. It's a philosophy of negation, of emptiness, of despair. What I'm describing, what Camus described, what Watts described, is something entirely different. It's not that nothing matters. It's that nothing matters inherently, externally, cosmically. And that means you get to decide what matters. You get to create meaning, not discover it. The universe doesn't care if you write a novel or watch television all day. The cosmos isn't keeping score. There's no divine report card, no ultimate judgment, no objective measure of a life well lived. But you care, you have preferences, you experience joy and suffering. You feel connection and isolation. You create and destroy. You love and lose. And that's enough. That's everything. Camus wrote, "The struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a man's heart." Not the achievement, not the destination, the struggle, the reaching, the effort itself. This is why I said at the beginning that this realization is liberating, not depressing. Because once you stop waiting for life to provide you with meaning, once you stop searching for some external validation or cosmic purpose, you can start actually living. You can choose your own values, not because they're objectively true or divinely ordained, but because they resonate with you, because they make the dance more beautiful, because they make the music more rich. You can commit fully to projects, relationships, and endeavors not because they'll last forever or because they serve some ultimate purpose, but because they're what you're doing now, and now is all there is. So how do we actually live this? How do we embody this philosophy in our daily existence? First, we have to get comfortable with uncertainty, with not knowing. We've been trained to always have an answer to, why are you doing this? But sometimes, often, the only honest answer is, because I am. Because this is what's arising. Because it's what I choose right now. I write not to be remembered, but because writing is what I do. I travel not to collect experiences like stamps, but because traveling is the shape my curiosity takes. I form friendships not to avoid loneliness, or to network, or to feel validated, but because connection is what happens when humans are truly present with each other. Second, we practice what I call serious play. We engage fully with whatever we're doing, work, relationships, creative projects, with complete commitment and attention. But we hold it all lightly, knowing it's temporary, knowing it's not cosmically important, knowing we're essentially building sandcastles. This isn't cynicism, it's the opposite. It's loving something fully while accepting its impermanence. It's caring deeply while acknowledging the absurdity. It's the both/and rather than the either/or. Third, we stop postponing life. We stop treating the present moment as merely a stepping stone to some better future moment. This doesn't mean we don't plan or prepare or work toward things. It means we don't sacrifice the reality of now for the fantasy of later. The retirement you're working toward, you might not make it. The perfect relationship you're waiting for, it might never come. The moment when you finally feel ready, accomplished, worthy, it's not coming because it doesn't exist. There is only this breath, this moment, this conversation, this sunset, this struggle, this joy. And it's enough. It's always been enough. I'm 58 years old. I've lived on 4 continents. I've loved and lost. I've succeeded and failed. I've built things and watched them crumble. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, the moments that felt most alive, most real, most meaningful were never the achievements or the destinations. They were the moments when I forgot to ask, what's the point? And just lived. Just played, just danced. Look at this sandcastle I made. It's crude, imperfect, already beginning to dissolve as the tide comes in. In an hour, it'll be gone completely, as if it never existed. And you know what? That's perfect. That's exactly as it should be. Because I didn't build it to last. I built it because building was what was happening. Because my hands wanted to shape sand. Because the beach was here, and so was I, and something wanted to be created in that meeting. The meaning of life is that there is no meaning, no predetermined, external, cosmic meaning. And that's not a tragedy. It's a gift. It's an invitation. It's permission to stop waiting for life to begin and to recognize that it's been happening all along. You are the music playing itself. You are the dance dancing itself. You are the sandcastle being built by hands that know it won't last, and building anyway, and finding in that building something that doesn't need to be justified or explained or made to serve some greater purpose. You are enough. This moment is enough. The play is enough. And perhaps that's the only meaning there ever was.